Or so
Okay,
just
great. Oh, sorry.
hello.
Right.
This is for the trials.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm here today with Jonathan, who is going to tell us a bit about his fatherhood experience. Tell us first a bit about yourself, please.
Okay. So my name is Jonathan. I am 40 years old. Have a I have my firstborn son. He was born about 8.5 months ago. So actually just before I turned 40. So yeah, first time son first time parent going through lots of new experiences. Bit of background on myself. So I am of Chinese origin. Both my parents are from Hong Kong. Um, I grew up in Australia. So and I think that's important because I myself, I guess I've already, I guess I was brought up with in a clash of cultures where my parents come from a more, let's say, a Chinese culture, but I'd say that they're definitely more open-minded than, let's say, your average Chinese parent. But still, I grew up in a Western society, and I'm now married to a Dutch woman, and I live in the Netherlands. So again, it's going to be another interesting cross section of cultures, and that's going to, I guess, lead to um, this intersection of different cultures. Sort of leads to the way I was raised, my way of thinking about parenting, and then also how I'm raising my son together with my wife. So yeah, I think the different cultures is going to be quite interesting.
Yes. Well, I myself have a very blended family as well. We have 5 members of our family with 5 different nationalities
Wow.
from different
Wow.
continents. So it's I know what you're talking about. It's very
Wow.
mixed.
Okay.
We're Spanish, Jamaican, British, German, United States, American. So we have a lot of different passports in this house. So when we travel all around, sometimes I think I have 11 or 12 passports in my possession to go through borders.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes.
I thought I had a lot, but that's even more than me.
Yeah, it's complicated sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm super grateful to have you here today because you're going to be telling the story about your first days and first weeks with your son, whose name is
Julius.
Julius. Yeah,
Or
so Julius.
Julius in Dutch, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about what was your experience becoming a father?
Um, I I think it's for to set some context. I think it's actually important to take a step back and um, think about your expectations of what it's going to be like to be a parent. And um, you, I know I try my best to go in with an open mind into anything with an open mind and say, hey, I have no expectations. But realistically, that never happens. It's probably human nature. It's probably impossible in human nature to go in with anything with a completely open mind and with no prejudice, because you've developed expectations throughout your whole life, and especially something as big as becoming a father. It's You get so many impressions from your own parents, from society, from media, from everywhere, that yeah, you can't go in with a completely open mind. And everybody has expectations, and so yeah, it's and I guess knowing what your expectations are going into fatherhood, um, and being self-aware is probably quite important, so that you know that, okay, hey, if things exceed expectations, if fatherhood exceeds expectations, you know why, and if they don't meet your expectations, then you also know why.
Mm.
um, and I think that's something where maybe I wasn't quite self-aware of bit beforehand, like going into fatherhood. You know, I I wanted to be a good father. I think most parents, especially in the modern age, want to be good fathers, but then, you know, how do you how do you do that? You know, we're not born to we're not born with the skills and knowledge. So I mean, I took a fatherhood course. I took Daniel's fatherhood course, and I learned so much from that. But then, you know, there's only so much you can learn from a workshop. You know, it's there's so many more things. Fatherhood and it's so much bigger than a couple of weekends at a workshop. And um, so yeah, like I said, I learned a great deal from her, and I'm sure she covered it. But I also probably there's so many things to learn that one of the things that I probably didn't learn was about was, yeah, like I said, managing my own expectations of what it's going to be like. Um, so yeah, I kind of went in with an expectation of uh, and I guess it's formed by movies and TV and you know, how a lot of people I guess learn about the world that they don't really know about. Um, I guess I formed this expectation that I would fall in love with my son as soon as I saw him, and I would my world would change, and everything would be like my whole world would transform. And uh, yeah, it wasn't like that. You know, my son came out, and it's like, okay, great. I've got there's this there's this there's this thing here that I'm holding, and it's going to change my life, but it hasn't quite done it yet. And even though I was holding him already, and um, yeah, this sort of wave of emotion, this wave of love that, you know, some people talk about, and I know people who have had it, um, and I think it's great that they had it. I wish I had it as well, but it didn't happen to me. And then so I didn't quite, I guess, meet my expectations. And I said, "Oh, hey, when's this going to happen? When is this wave of love going to occur?" And um, it it didn't. And you know, the first couple of months, everybody, you know, it's tough. You know, it's going to be tough going in where with the sleepless nights and everything else, and with that comes with having a newborn baby, and like, you know, that's coming. Um, but uh, but yeah, I was kind of hoping that, okay, hey, you put in the hard work, but that's you're gonna have this feeling of love to make up for it. And yeah, when that didn't come, I would say that, okay, hey, just that sort of got me quite it impacted me a fair bit. It really just felt like, hey, a second job, and this is something you work and you don't get paid, especially right at the beginning, when they're sort of just more a creature and not really yet a human. I don't know if it's like that's not the right thing
I
to
know
say,
what
but that's kind of, yeah.
yeah.
Um, uh,
Because you're not connected. If you weren't connected with a baby, then of course it is, you know, it's there's no connection, so it's not
yeah,
it's almost like an
yeah.
object kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I you read about like connecting with the baby beforehand, like you know, when your partner's pregnant, it's like as a father, you know, trying to talk to them, read to them, or do whatever you try to connect with them. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's quite difficult when they're inside your partner's belly, to be able to do that. It's a bit it feels a bit silly to be doing that with your baby. And yeah, maybe I didn't do it right, but I know you're supposed to do that, and I tried. But I guess that bond didn't really build. Um, we did the, you know, they tell you, okay, hey, as soon as the baby comes out, make sure you hold him or her, and you build that skin to skin contact. And so I mean, we did that, but yeah, I don't know. The bond didn't happen. And and then when these things happen, when these things don't come, when that feeling of love doesn't come, then you start thinking, you start doubting yourself. It's like, is it, what happened? Why did it happen? And I feel like I'm probably more of a rational kind of person rather than a emotional kind of person. So that I'm always thinking about, like, why does this happen? Why isn't it happening? And 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 what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so it just I just you just start thinking, you start doubting yourself, and you say, hey, is there something wrong with me? Am I just a cold-hearted human being who has no capacity for love and emotion? And you start doubting yourself, and that can't be good for anybody, because it's not good for you, and then whatever's not good for you is not good for your partner, and it's not good for your baby either. So you do, like, at least I started going into a bit of a spiral, um, of self doubt, and yeah, not feeling the love, and um, so yeah,
Were
I
you able to share these with anybody, or were you just like your own self thinking, going around in
yeah,
circles?
I was sharing this with my wife at first. Um, I told her everything, and she was definitely very, very supportive, and she really helped a lot. And I have to give her so much praise, because she was, I mean, she was looking after a baby herself, and she was going through motherhood for the first time, and she was going through a lot of changes in herself as well, that she didn't need me to. She didn't really need. She was already looking after the baby. She didn't need to look after me as well,
Mhm.
but she did, because, well, yeah, because she's amazing. So, um,
Like that.
um, but yeah, it always. I also, after a couple of months, I posted something on my social media, on with my friends, saying that about the place that I was in, about the feelings of, like, okay, hey, I'm not in love with my baby. This is just a job. I'm just doing this, and it kind of sucks, because you normally do a job and you want to get paid, or you get you get something back, and I wasn't getting anything back, at the time. And the wave of support that I got from all my friends online, um, whether it be in person here in the Netherlands, or back home in Australia, or family as well. Um, yeah, that really, really helped,
Mm.
um, to know that a lot of other people were also went through the same experience, but uh, they weren't necessarily. I think a lot of them also uh, went through the same situation, where they also had these unrealistic expectations that were formed by movies or celebrities. Um, I often I often blame Ryan Reynolds, because there's an interview that he gives on Jimmy Fallon, or one of the late night shows, where he talks about this feeling of love when he met his
Mhm.
when he met his firstborn, and he makes it funny, and I don't know, it's great. It makes great TV, but I blame him for setting unrealistic expectations on myself.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like I said, I put on social media, and so many people reached out to me to offer their support, because they went through the same experience, and knowing that so many others went through the same thing, it really, said, okay, hey, you know what I was going through was actually normal, and it's not me. It's just, this is what happens, and not everybody goes through that wave of love. Some people find it tough, and a lot of people find it tough, like I did. And I think that message, needs to go out to a lot of people, especially fathers, because mothers. I mean, I can't speak for mothers, because yeah, I'm not one, obviously. So, um, but I'm hoping that other fathers will also get the same message, that, like, and set that same expectations, that hey, it's not all it's not all sun and roses at the beginning. It's I mean, I mean now my son's 8.5 months out. Sorry, 8.5 months old, and things are so different. He smiles all the time, he laughs all the time. I love playing with him, and things are great. But it's at the beginning it was really quite tough, and after that post on social media really helped me a lot, and also him growing up and reacting more also helped a lot. But at the same time, every kid's got their own timeline. Every parent has their own timeline. Every father has their own timeline. It might have, it might have taken me, I don't know, let's I can't remember. Let's call it 6 months, 4 months, or whatever it was for things to start turning around. I've had some other friends. They said like, hey, it took them a year, or it took them 2 years to really start loving their child. And I mean, I mean, those guys, I can't imagine how tough it must have been for them to go 2 years looking after a child without really feeling the love. I can't imagine that. That must have been so tough. But yeah, I think people, and especially fathers, need to know that that can happen, and it's not uncommon, because it happens to a lot of other people as well.
Mhm. Yes, it does. Mm, and interestingly enough, it also happens in the animal world.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it does. Actually, just recently I visited my dad, and he lives in the countryside, and in front of his house there's it's not really a farm, but they do have sheep. And we had to feed one of the small sheep of these mm, sheep
Yeah.
who the mother didn't bond with her. Uh,
Okay.
and so she had, like, I think it was four of them. She would take care of them, but then this one not, for some reason. So she wouldn't allow her to feed, and
Oh.
then we just took care of her. And then the other ones were like all big and fluffy, and then she was like always left behind, and we were feeding her with a bottle. And at some point, my dad sent a video that she accepted her, and then drip, she was part of the herd.
Oh.
And that got me to look into this, because apparently it is very typical, up to 6 months even. And most of the times happens that it is actually more lengthy than what we think in humans, but also in the animal world. So yeah, I haven't really done too much research yet about this, but it is a fact, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I feel that when we talk about whatever struggles we go through, because we all go through some struggles of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
especially through in life in general, but in parenting, or in fatherhood and motherhood in particular, um, it just makes it so much better when we can share about it. I mean, you said it, just by sharing it to the world, and then getting support, and knowing that you're not alone, and knowing that nobody hates you or judges you for
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a fact. And that you're so brave, actually, already to come up and share. I think it's going to help a lot of fathers, and a lot of mothers, because I know for a fact that some mothers also cannot bond immediately with their kids, and it's very stigmatized. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with these type of interviews, but also with the events that I'm organizing, which I call the elephant in the womb.
Okay. Oh, nice name.
Precisely to talk about what so many people are experiencing, but so very few are actually talking about publicly. Whether it's this your example of lack of attachment at the beginning, or whether it's loss of pregnancy, anything. That there's so many stories, and the more that you scratch the surface, the more they arise. And it just creates a lot of isolation and miserability, as I created that word, unnecessarily. So that's I really love that you're able to share your story, because yeah, you're not the only one, and you will be not the last. I'm sure. So yeah, it's
No, I think it's great that you're sharing these stories, and one of the reasons why I'm really quite happy to share my story is because, yeah, like I said earlier, you get your expectations from TVs, movies, celebrities, from the media, and what's a sexy story? Okay, hey, falling in love and straight away, and you know, not bonding with your child is not sexy. It doesn't sell. Nobody's going to make a movie about that, right? um, so yeah, the media paints an unrealistic portrait of parenthood, and I think it's really important that, okay, hey, I'm not a Ryan Reynolds, but I wish that someone like Ryan Reynolds or a celebrity would tell us more real stories. And to be fair, I like, since I've expressed my views, other people have shared stories with me other uh, where celebrities do share their real stories of parenthood. But yeah, like I said, those interviews, those clips, then
They don't
they're not
sell.
sexy. So they
Yeah.
don't get circulated as much, and so
Yeah.
no, I think um, that's why I think it's great that people like create this platform to share stories and spread it out and tell real stories from real ordinary people who aren't celebrities trying to sell themselves and sell their brand.
Yeah. No, and I think you touch on a very important point, which is the expectations. I have created a course, well, a masterclass for now, and I do talk in the first pillar about expectations, because I help parents think already about their own expectations and write them down, because we do. It's so true what you said. We think we don't come with expectations, but how can we not?
Right,
We're
right.
like our own intuition and our own purity is so bombarded by so many things that we don't
Yeah,
even know anymore. It's like,
yeah,
where's our intuition? Where is our core? Honestly, it just takes so much work nowadays to find ourselves and to know, and to get, kind of clean of all of those expectations, which are so sometimes very evil in the sense that, we have a complete different sense of the reality and what is normal, what is not normal, like also including of our own children, not just the attachment with the children, but like we think that kids will have to be potty trained by this age and speak about this by this age, and they're going to be exactly the type of personality that we want them to be, and they're going to say thank you and please by the age. Come on.
right. Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah,
and,
for
and
sure.
it's constant disappointment, and it's a constant battle, and that comes from our enormous amount of expectations that we are completely overlooking. So I that's also one of the things that I think that I bring in is reflection and awareness. To really, is the most important thing that we can bring, is just reflection and awareness, and constantly be looking at ourselves. Like, number one priority is looking at ourselves as parents, and the kids, just let them let them
Right, right.
evolve. But anyway, so this is great. This is lovely. I'm going to stop the recording here. Thank you so much for your vulnerability and your
I was,
You wanted to add something else?
no, I just wanted to, I guess I just wanted to, I know I touched base on it earlier, um, but yeah, I guess I just want to finish up on that. Like, even though I went through a tough time, um, and yeah, things, and the message that I got from a lot of people were that, hey, they went through the same thing, but things got better. So I think I might have missed that when I was describing the support that I got earlier. Like, a lot of people also said, "Hey, things get better. It'll change," and like I said, things did change. And yeah, now like I said, he's a happy boy. He's a happy boy. He's always laughing, and I really feel the love for him now. So um, one one thing my wife likes to say is, if things do get tough, if you're going through a tough time, or baby's going through a tough time teething or whatever it is, she likes to say, "Oh, it's all a phase. It'll phase. It's all a phase. It'll get better." So,
Yes.
um, yeah, I think that's one of the things I learned in the course. Yeah, it really is sort of just goes ups and downs, and you'll have your downs, but you'll have your ups as well.
Yeah, and we get better at it as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's also about how we evolve and gain more acceptance and more understanding and yeah, and more patient. I feel like I was telling the other day somebody that I feel I'm entering that stage of my life where acceptance has a lot more weight than courage, and courage to go and change things is like that's what comes with age, right? And with having kids is like you
yeah.
have to work on acceptance and some days are like that and sometimes it's just for today and it's just for today that I'm barely managing, but it's just today and then tomorrow is another day.
Tomorrow's another day, exactly. Yeah,
And it is like that. And then next day you wake up and it's renewed and you renewed energy and your kids suddenly are like, little angels.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And yeah,
But
so
when they are angels, then they'll turn into terrors. But when they're terrors, they'll turn into angels again.
it's just ups and downs of life. I
Yeah,
think for me, it really helps me to think it's just a day, I'm just having a bad day or they're having a bad day or, who knows? There's so many things.
right,
Um,
right.
but this was lovely. Thank you so much for
Of course, happy to help.
this. And yeah, maybe I invite you to one of the Elephant in the Womb events to talk in person. I might
I'd love to help.
them organized with Sanya more of them. By the way, we're inviting everybody to come next week into Amsterdam. I don't know if you're around.
Yes, I can't. I won't be in town. I'll
Oh yeah,
be.
you were gone. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, next time.
yeah.
Thank
Next time
you
then.
so much, then. Bye bye.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.